Good afternoon, boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Bocanegra, and I want to welcome you back to Eureka Math, Module 2, Lesson 2. And today is Friday, August 28th, 2020. I want to tell you a little secret. Starting next week, some days you're going to see my videos, and some days you're going to see Mrs. Allen videos. But when you log into your live class, you're going to see your math teacher. Let's go over our daily goal. Our daily goal is to complete your assignment and submit. And when you submit your work, you score an 85. Because remember, our big goal is when you're taking your annual module, you score a 100. Because we want to meet those goals, boys and girls. Our materials for today's classes, you need a book 1, book 2, book 3, pencil, scissors, and a white paper. I'm going to wait for you to gather all the materials because it's extremely important that you get a pencil. That you get the scissors. Pause the video. Once you have all the materials ready, unpause it and continue. Let's go over the expectations. Make sure you're always sitting down and looking at the teacher in class and when you're watching the video. That you have all your materials ready in park. That you actively participate by doing your work. That you always go back and watch the videos in the channels. Number 5 is very important, that you raise up your hand using the hand icon, that you stay on mute, and that you only unmute yourself when you're called on. Don't forget, today is Friday. Today you got the lesson progress, and we're going to be checking how many lessons you completed this week. For sure, you need to be on lesson 9 for Dreambox. If you're ahead, good job. If you are not on lesson 9, you have some work to do, but we believe in you. You can still do it. Let's go over today's objectives. By the end of the lesson, I will iterate, which is repeat the same process with one physical unit, in this case, the centimeter unit, to measure, boys and girls. Yesterday, we measured using our pinky. Today, we're going to actually use the centimeter cube. How can we do that? Well, let's talk about all the things that we need to learn. Well, we need to learn that an endpoint is where something begins and ends, and where that object ends. Look, this is where it ends, and this is where it starts. That's called endpoint. Estimate is something very, very important that we learned yesterday. And every time you hear the word about, it means that you're estimating, that you're using an approximation of a quantity or a number. It's not the exact answer. Something that we're going to focus on today a lot is the hash mark. We're going to mark, which are the marks on a ruler or another measuring tool. But we used it yesterday when we made each mark when we used our pinky. How can we do that? Let's talk about the important reminders that you need to remember 100% of the time when you are measuring. Number 1 is that you use 1 unit the whole time. Second reminder that you keep this object straight all the time. Remember, if it's crooked, it's not an actual measurement. And the third one is that there's no gaps, and we talked about that yesterday in class, that there's no gaps or overlaps. And this is how we're going to measure. Number 1, we're not going to use a ruler or yardstick or meter stick or any of those measuring objects. Any of these measuring tools yet. But for sure, we're going to place the item on top of the 0, but we're not going to place a ruler. We're going to place our cube. And we are going to measure from end to end. And at the end, we write the measuring tool. So let's start. I am eager. Yesterday, boys and girls, we measured different objects using our pinky as a unit. Today, we're going to measure some other objects, but this time we're going to use the 1 centimeter cube. I want you to watch my measurement strategy. I make a mark where the cube ends, and this strategy is called mark and go. Let me show you why. Like I said, I make a mark where the cube ends. Then I move my cube forward so that the mark is right at the beginning of the cube with no overlap. And I mark where the cube ends again. What do you think I should do next, boys and girls? I'm going to give you some think time. Yes, I move the cube and I mark the end. Great job, great thinking. High five. That's exactly what I did. I moved the cube forward and made another mark. This is how it looks like. Look, I placed the cube at the end point. Then I made the mark where the other endpoint stops. I really want you to look at this paperclip. I want you to think, and I'm going to give you some think time. What did you notice about how I measure with my centimeter cube? I want you to think, what do you notice about the distance between the pencil marks that I have made? Think about it. Great thinking, boys and girls. Look at this. They are the same length. Let me show you. When I measured my paper clip, the length was just a little less than 3 centimeters. But I can say that my paper clip is about 3 centimeters because it's very, very close. I want you to open your book to your book number 3 to page 44. As you can see in here, this is the page 44. When you're there at the bottom, there's a centimeter square that I want you to cut. When you are done cutting that, make sure you come back to the video. So here are the steps. Pause the video, go to this page and cut. When you're done, come back and unpause the video. Make sure you don't lose that because you're going to use it for today's lesson and for today's homework. So that little centimeter cube is very, very important, boys and girls. Thank you for being very honest, boys and girls. And now that you're done cutting the centimeter cube, I need you to get a white paper or lined paper, it doesn't matter, and one crayon. You're going to have 30 seconds to get a crayon. You can pause the video and put the crayon on top of the paper, and I want you to use a centimeter cube. Thank you for being students with integrity and having all the materials ready. So we are going to practice using our measuring technique. So remember, we're going to use the mark and go strategy. So here's my crayon, and I am going to measure the crayon. The first thing is that I put the centimeter cube where at the end point where the crayon starts. When I'm done placing it, I mark the end and then I move forward. Remember, what I do, you do. Then I'm gonna place my little cube again at the mark and I mark it again. Then I put the centimeter and move forward and I mark it again. Make sure that the centimeter cube is touching the mark. And then I put it again, I move forward and I mark. Then I move forward and I mark. Look at the space between them is always the same. I put move and mark. Let me try this one more time, boys and girls, because I move. Then I put it and I stop. So now let's see if we can find the length of the crayon. It's so important that you also put the mark at the beginning so we know where it starts. So make sure that now we label the numbers. And we do that starting the numbers. Now, it's so important that you remember that this number is 0. The distance from here to here is 1. The distance from here to here is 2. The distance from here to here is 3. The distance from here to here is 4. The distance from here to here is 5. The distance from here is 6 because it's 1 centimeter. And the distance from here to here is 7. I counted by ones because the cube is 1 centimeter. Now, it's crucial that you remember that you say the crayon is about 7 centimeters. I'm not saying that's the actual measurement. I'm saying is about. Because when we use the actual ruler, that's when we can say the actual length of the crayon. I had a lot of fun measuring the length of the crayon using the mark and go strategy. Here comes a fun part for you. Here's the next steps you're going to do. Number 1 is that you need to find 2 objects around your house, any objects you want. After you find those 2 objects, use the cube centimeter to measure the length of the objects using the mark and go strategy. Make sure you use something that is small, something that you can use the centimeter. Don't measure your bed. Don't measure those things because if it's not, it's going to take you a long time. Try to use small objects. When you're done, write the number of the length of those objects and make sure you say about because we're estimating the length of those objects. And be ready to share in class because I'm going to choose some students that can tell us what different objects they measure around the house. I had a lot of fun doing this activity and I hope you have fun looking for things around your house. Don't forget, don't lose the little cube because we're going to use it in class and then you need to use it for your homework, boys and girls. Make sure when you go back to the chat box, tell us, did you and you are measuring using your pinky or using the centimeter template? I love using my pinky because it always reminds me that my pinky is about 1 centimeter. At the end of class, don't forget to submit your work. This is the only thing you're submitting for today. You're going to submit all the work that you complete in book number 3, page 43 and 44, and you're going to complete problems 1, 2, 3, and in here you're going to use the mark and go strategy using your cube. Then you're going to answer all the questions and problem number 4. Boys and girls, have an amazing afternoon. And remember to go live to our team's calendar at 12:55. Thank you for everything. Bye. Don't forget, don't lose that little centimeter cube.